Alright, today we're making parts of the train. We're going to make a new part. We're going to work on part number 6, the axle peg. So I'm going to start a new sketch. I'm going to draw from the side on this one. So I'm going to select the XY plane. I'm going to draw like half of it, and then I'm going to revolve the whole thing. So I'm going to break this thing down into the different parts. So if I'm looking at this from the side, and let me just show you really quick if I'm drawing on this, if I can find a pencil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw this part like I'm looking at it from the side. That's flat on the top, curves down, flat. And I'm going to cut it right down the middle. So I'm going to break it into several different parts. Okay, I'm going to break it into this rectangle here, into this little rectangle, and then this little curve. So I'm going to draw those parts. That's what I'm working on here. Okay, so let's do that in Inventor. So first we're going to get our rectangle. We're going to draw this main body right here. It says it's a 1/4 inch in diameter there from the hole and thread notes. Okay, and then it's 1 inch long. So I want half, because I'm only drawing half of this thing. So I'm going to take the 0.25, I'm going to divide it by 2 in Inventor. And then I'm going to make it 1 inch long. And there's my first rectangle. Zoom it down so we can see. Okay, now the second rectangle, I'm making this little part across here. Okay, so I'm making this little piece right there. So I'm going to draw the rectangle across like this. And this one, the diameter of that little piece in the middle is 0.422. So I'm going to take 0.422 and I'm going to divide it by 2 because I'm doing half of everything. And it is 0.031 inches high. Okay, and now I'm going to make this top rectangle up here. So I'm going to make this guy. Again, he is the 1/4 inch in diameter. Okay, we know from this part here. And then he is this, 0.125 minus 0.031 distance in his height. So I'm going to take 0.25 divided by 2 to get his radius. And then I'm going to take the 0.125 and I'm going to subtract that 0.031 of that little rectangle that I did. And Inventor does all this math for you. Okay, now it's a mess in there, but you can see that I've got that rectangle. And now I'm going to take that, I'm going to put this arc across there to make the curve. So I'm going to go over here to arc. I'm going to type in there. And then it says this SR, right? That means surface radius, basically, or spherical radius. Okay, it's 0.236. So I'm going to type in this one, 0.236. And there you go. And you can see that connected right on that line. That's good. That's what you want. You want that connected, the little radius line to be connected on there. Let me get rid of this. Okay. So now we basically have what we need. And it's all good. And it's ready to create. You can see it's fully constrained down here at the bottom. So we're all good. So we're going to finish. And we're going to now revolve this around to make my full piece. So I'm going to revolve that piece, all the rectangles I did, oops, get it selected, and the little arc triangle looking thing, and then select the axis. We're going to revolve it around this middle point, and boom! There you go. We almost have it done. You see I went from nothing to a bunch. Okay, now we got to cut this little hole up here in the top. It's a hex-shaped hole, so we're going to draw a new sketch on the top. We're going to go into rectangle down at the bottom to polygon. And we want a hex, so 6 sides. It's great. That's perfect. So you go across here, and you just make it. It doesn't really have a dimension as you make this one, so we're just going to make it. Now, it makes it easier, to me, if we have the top and the bottom perfectly flat and horizontal with the horizontal axis going across there. Okay, but now we're going to go dimension. It says across the flat, so from flat to flat, and this is where it helps if you put the things horizontal, it helps with the dimensioning. It says across the flats, it's 5/32, so 5 divided by 32. Okay, so we have that done. So we're going to finish our sketch. Now we're going to extrude this piece here. We're going to cut it down, and we're going to cut it down 0.111 deep. And then say OK. So now we've got our hole sitting in the top. So we're all good. Now if you look at this thing, it kind of sitting like that, right, on your paper. It says it has a chamfer down here, 45 degrees chamfer that's 0.03. So we're going to take our chamfer tool, chop off this end, just 0.03. Say OK. And now you can see we've chopped that bottom off a little bit so it's not so rough, right? And not so pointy. And then finally we have to put this thread on here. So we have our hole and thread notes. Okay, so we're not going to hole though, we're going to thread. We want to thread this part, but we don't want it all the way. We want it to stop. So that's the 1/4 inch offset. So we're going to bump this down a 1/4 inch because it's going to be smooth at the top, not threaded. It says it's a 1/4 inch 20 UNC. Well, there it is, 1/4 inch 20 UNC. So it's already good. And then we want to offset this thing. So we want to do full depth, no. There we go. Now we have our offset. And we want to do 0.25 because it wants it a 1/4 inch down. You can see how it moved it down. And then say OK. And now you have your axle peg. All wonderful, just like it looks on the part. And you can color that, do whatever you want, right? So we want to color the whole thing. Maybe we want to make this one, you know, I'm sure they have aluminum or steel or some chrome. Let's make it shiny. Okay. There we go. Now we got a shiny axle peg. Make sure you save it and you are good to go.